I love to cook. I'm a professional chef and recipe creator, but sometimes even I have to throw together really quick and easy meals for myself and my family. If you're an experienced cook, these dishes are great when you don't feel like cooking, you don't have time to cook, you just want something simple and easy. And if you know someone who is a beginner cook or maybe a young person, say just going to college, send them this video to help them get started. Let's jump right in with breakfast. For breakfast almost every day, I have oatmeal. Oatmeal is so easy to make. All you need is a simple saucepan, or for me, most days I make it in the Instant Pot. That way I can set it and forget it while I'm getting my daughter and myself ready for the day. If you have a small space and don't even have a kitchen, like you're in a dorm room or an RV even, the Instant Pot is the best appliance to buy. You can use it anywhere you have electricity, and you can basically cook anything inside of it, including oatmeal. Even if you don't have a cooktop or an Instant Pot, you can still make oatmeal. You can use quick cook oats and even spice them up yourself instead of buying the pre-packaged spiced stuff. Or you can even make overnight oats, which are so easy. Using old-fashioned rolled oats, mix that with soy milk or any non-dairy milk, a sweetener of your choice, some spices, and then eat it the next morning. So you want to have oats, some dry ingredients for seasoning, and even some fresh fruit on hand so that you can make oatmeal throughout the week, or even, y'all, is sometimes even good for dinner. You can make it anytime you need. Oats by themselves are rich in fiber. They even have a good amount of protein and even iron. And oatmeal is a naturally vegan breakfast. Naturally vegan and gluten-free. I eat oatmeal every day. Yes, one, because it is so freaking easy to make, but also because you can really add a lot of other nutrient-dense ingredients to it. The possibilities with oatmeal are endless. I also love to eat teff porridge and quinoa porridge. Both of those recipes are on my blog, sweetpotatosoul.com. There's a link in the description box, and there's a QR code here on the screen. For savory breakfast, I eat avocado toast. Avocado toast is stupid easy because all you have to do is toast some bread and put some avocado on top. Oh, and a little bit of salt too, a little salt. To make avocado toast, you just need a way to toast the bread. So a toaster oven, or you could toast it on the stove in a skillet. And hear me out, if you don't even have a kitchen, you don't have a stove, but you have an Instant Pot, you can toast bread in that Instant Pot too. A little oil at the bottom, it'll work. If you've never bought avocados and you don't know anything about them, you just need to make sure that they are soft and ripe before you cut them open. The texture of the palm of your hand, so you kind of squeeze the avocado. If it feels soft like that, then they are ripe. If they're too soft or they've got any bruising, indentations, that's probably not the avocado for you. It's probably going to be all nasty inside. I buy my avocados unripe and I let them ripen on the counter, and then I stick them in the refrigerator to keep them from going bad for up to a week, even 10 days. Avocado toast can be very filling. It really depends on the type of bread you use and what you put on top. So if you want a higher protein, fiber-rich bread, try Ezekiel. Ezekiel is so good. Sometimes people call it an acquired taste because it's a little harder than white bread. You can also bulk it up by adding beans. A can of beans, chickpeas are my favorite. Rinse them, drain them in the sink, and that adds so much more fiber and protein to your toast. Not just that, but it also adds delightful texture. And if you really want to go crazy, but it's still easy, but crazy delicious, I like to pan fry mushrooms. Y'all, put that on your avocado toast and thank me later. Let's talk about smoothies. Smoothies are one of the easiest things that you can make. Just put your ingredients in a blender and you're good to go. Of course, you gotta blend them up first and then drink them. You can make any type of smoothie, literally any fruits and vegetables you want to add. Just make sure you have those ingredients on hand. I always keep my freezer stocked with loads of frozen fruit. I also have frozen spinach in the freezer. Adding spinach to a smoothie is an easy way to add more nutrients without overwhelming the taste of your smoothie into something that tastes like dirt. The perfect liquid for smoothies kind of depends on the smoothie you're making, but almost all the time I use plain organic soy milk. It has a neutral taste and it's full of protein, which also adds more oomph to my smoothie. You could also use water. You could use coconut water, which has obviously a more tropical flavor, or any other non-dairy milk that you like. I'm not a big protein powder person myself. I'm not super obsessed with getting a ton of protein. I'm really active. I get plenty of protein. I don't think I need to add protein powder. But if you think you do, add some protein powder, especially if you expect this to be a full meal replacement. It might make sense for you to add some protein powder. Obviously, to make smoothies, you are going to need one essential tool, a blender. I don't really condone cheap blenders, but
maybe you should say that.
Okay, I will say that. I will be honest.
Expensive.
Blenders can be very expensive or they can be very inexpensive. I'm one of these people who really believes in investing in the high-powered, expensive blender. I'm sorry, because they are expensive. But if you're gonna rely on smoothies as a meal replacement, then you're gonna want them to be smooth and creamy and also have a machine that lasts and doesn't break after 1 year of use. So I do recommend the Vitamix. Also, I have a ProLine KitchenAid blender, which is just as good as the Vitamix. So here's my little tip for saving money on blenders. 1, look at Facebook Marketplace, honey, my favorite website on the internet. Facebook Marketplace is the spot to go whenever you need something inexpensive and secondhand. Another money-saving tip is to buy it refurbished on Amazon. And even if it's not refurbished, they often have open box appliances at a huge discount. Let's move on to lunch and dinner. Rice and peas, one of my go-to easy peasy recipes. This dish is stupid easy because all it takes is some cooked rice, some frozen peas, and then some seasoning on top. But all I do is steam the peas and the rice so it's all warm, and I'll usually spice it with salt, some tahini, a little squeeze of lemon, and if I'm feeling really fancy, I'll add a little bit of like za'atar, which is a Mediterranean spice blend to give it some oomph. To make this rice and peas, all you need to do is make sure you have cooked rice. I do like to keep cooked rice in my refrigerator at all times. Every time you go to the grocery store, make sure you have a little section on your shopping list of what you need to put in your freezer. Having frozen ingredients is essential to easy peasy eating and cooking. Even though it's so simple, it is so delicious. It's balanced, it's full of protein and fiber. It's a complete meal that literally only took like 2 minutes to cook. This dish, rice and peas, 100% is relying on the seasoning. Obviously, rice and peas by themselves are very, very bland. So you can put curry powder on this, you could do za'atar like me, you can use like a taco spice, it doesn't matter. You could also make this dish with canned lentils. I'm a big, big fan of lentils, by the way. They are so good for you. So you could use those in place of the peas. You could use beans instead. And as far as the tahini goes, tahini can be kind of expensive and maybe a little difficult to find. So you could use I like toasted sunflower seeds or toasted pumpkin seeds to give this dish some crunch, and then you still have that added healthy fat. As far as tools go, you have to have a way to cook the rice or just buy pre-cooked rice. You can get it at any grocery store. You might need a freezer, of course, if you're using frozen peas, but if you don't have a freezer, that's cool too. You can use canned peas, which I've never tried, I will admit, but I have tried canned beans and they work in place of the peas just fine. Similarly, Buddha bowls or, macro bowls are really great, similar to the rice and peas, but with added vegetables and ingredients. So what I like to do is prepare a bunch of ingredients at the beginning of the week or whenever I have time. Also, you don't have to eat the same combination of things every time. Buddha bowls typically have a starch, a whole grain, a bean, a green vegetable, a fermented vegetable, and a healthy fat like a drizzle of tahini or some nuts or even some sliced avocado. That is the perfect balance that you will find in a Buddha bowl or a macro bowl. If you have all those ingredients already prepared, to assemble it takes no time. This concept comes from macrobiotic eating, which emphasizes balance on your plate. I have a whole blog post about how to create a balanced plate, and I will link to that in the description. And there's a QR code here on screen if you want to learn more about creating balance with every meal and creating the perfect Buddha bowl. Now let's move on to 3 dishes that are super familiar, but I'm going to show you how I eat them at home and make them really easy. Before we get into those, let's talk about why you should cook at home anyway when you don't even have time. What's wrong with just ordering delivery on my phone? It's okay to do that sometimes, but if you've ever done it, you know how expensive that can be. Ordering takeout on all these delivery apps is like super easy, but super expensive. It adds up really quickly. If you have a budget, which we should all have a budget, you can see how quickly that adds up. But we've got food at home, and as you can see, it's actually easy enough to make food at home. Not only will you save money if you just cook simple stuff at home, but you'll also be eating so much healthier. And don't we all want to eat a little bit healthier? Something else I find really interesting is that research shows that cooking for yourself lowers your risk of developing dementia. What's wrong with relying on frozen and pre-prepared meals like the ones you get at Trader Joe's? I will say we do eat frozen food sometimes, especially pizza, frozen vegan pizza, but here's the problem. It's kind of like eating at a restaurant or getting takeout all the time. You were not in the factory that made that food. And by the way, the food was made in a factory, not in your home kitchen, where you are in control of all of the ingredients and also the love, the energy, the attention that goes into your meal. Not to mention, it does help your cognitive function to be cooking for yourself. Let's talk about a dish everybody already knows, tacos. I include tacos because they are so easy to put together. As long as you've got some tortillas on hand and a protein like lentils or beans, tofu, then you can put together some really bomb, easy tacos. The tortillas are 99.9% of the time already vegan. Check the ingredients, of course. But what goes inside is what really makes it vegan or not. You do not need to make tacos with meat or cheese. If you do like cheese and meat, you could use those vegan cheeses and meats, of course, too. But I do find that clean, wholesome ingredients are cheapest, are super easy to make, and they're the most nutritious, of course. One of my favorite ways to make simple tacos is to use a can of lentils that I saute in the pan with some tomatoes from the can and a couple spices. That's it. Sometimes I'm feeling fancy and I will make a guacamole. Otherwise, a couple slices of avocado, it's all I need, and I have a complete meal. That takes no more than 10 minutes start to finish. These simple dishes, like tacos, do still rely on some basic knowledge about how to make ingredients taste good. For example, tortillas are disgusting when they're just out of the fridge. They're hard, they're like, they're just like dry. So warm them up. It's so easy to warm them up. You can put them in the microwave. You can warm them up on the stove directly on a flame. You can put them in the toaster oven wrapped in aluminum foil. But the intention is to warm them up and you actually soften their tortilla, and it makes it taste so much better. So even if you just make yourself a basic meal, it's still gonna taste delicious. This is my testimony for pasta. Pasta. Just say pasta. Time to eat pasta. Okay, let's talk about pasta. Let's eat some pasta. You should be eating more pasta. Pasta's great. Pasta is so easy to make. Now, I know you can make elaborate types of pasta and noodles, of course, but here's one that we make all the time. Just like the rice and peas, you could do pasta and peas. Literally just pasta, made it on the stove, and then, mix it with some olive oil, some frozen peas, which are thawed or steamed, some thawed steamed spinach, and put some nutritional yeast on that baby, that bad boy. Good to go. Good to go. It's a delicious, balanced meal that my 7-year-old and myself, we both love. But there are plenty of different pastas you can make. You can make your own pesto, which is like a nutty basil sauce, or you can buy pesto at the grocery store. You can make your own tomato sauce, which is so easy. With a can of tomato sauce, you can add some spices, or you can buy a jar of tomato sauce at the store. What I always recommend when it comes to making simple, easy pasta dishes, though, is to bulk it up, especially because we're plant-based over here. We're not eating meat. So how do you add protein and substance to your pasta so you feel fuller for longer and you don't end up eating the whole pot of super high carb pasta? One of my favorite ways to bulk up pasta is to add lentils. Even lentils mixed with like walnuts chopped up is like a lentil bolognese. It has a meaty texture, it's full of protein and fiber, so you're gonna feel full for a long time, and you're not gonna have to eat the whole entire pot of pasta. Salads are another healthy, easy meal. There are a couple ways you can make a salad a meal. First off, you can add lots of bulk to it, like beans and lentils. If you want your beans to be more exciting, you can make crispy beans that are spiced and crispy because you put them in the oven or the air fryer. Or you could just open a can of beans and use those. You can add other vegetables as well, like shredded carrots or roasted sweet potato or even roasted cauliflower and broccoli if you want a warm salad. To add even more bulk to a salad, you can use quinoa or another whole grain like farro or millet or bulgur. But salads don't have to be bland and boring and basic. You can actually turn them into a complete meal. If you don't have a lot of time and you don't have a lot of resources to be like washing greens and such, you can actually buy a clamshell, like that big plastic container of pre-washed lettuce. And guess what? You don't even have to make an elaborate dressing to make a delicious salad. You can dress your salad with olive oil and a vinegar like balsamic, apple cider vinegar, and just a sprinkle of salt. To make a salad, you don't need many tools. Once we went on a 3-week road trip across the country and we made salads for ourselves the entire time. No kitchen, no tools, barely even a bowl. But as long as you have a salad bowl, your life will be a lot easier. But what we did was relied on pre-washed salad mixes, just the clamshells or the bags that you get at the grocery store, basic dressings like olive oil and vinegar, and beans in a can, pumpkin seeds already toasted, quinoa already cooked. And that was how we made our healthy, balanced salads literally every day. If you get good at making salads, that is the cheat code to life, okay? Because you can rely on yourself to make healthy things every day. And once you get a good salad going, pair it with all these other dishes that I've been talking about. Pairing salads with other super easy meals is a great way to make a complete meal and feel like you're actually doing something, but you only spent like 10 minutes in the kitchen. I know that there's this right now a lot of people are spending buku money on DoorDash and eating out, and a lot of people don't even know the first thing about cooking for yourself. But as someone who taught myself how to cook, it really doesn't have to be that difficult. Also, I do think we should be spending more time in the kitchen, but it doesn't have to be an hour every day. Just 5 to 10 minutes, and actually making your own food is such an important way to stay engaged in your life. Keep your brain working, create new neural connections. I hope this video was helpful. If you watched all the way to the end, you might still have some more questions. Leave them in the comment section down below and we can troubleshoot the answers together. Thanks for watching. Bye. 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 Bye, 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 bye.